fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about what looks like an extremely complicated Valentine's bucket, and don't worry, it is. But that's why you got me and the cat here to help explain it to you, break it down, how many shards you can get, whether you want to go for Officer Shards, what the reward totals are, and how to go about unlocking everything over the next 3 days. Because remember, even though it's Valentine's Day, this is a 3-day event. If you forgot to catch that in the in-game news, this is going to be something that we have over the next couple of days. So plenty of time if you complete all your events to get a lot of Officer Shards. Right, DJ?
Yeah, actually, despite its really complicated appearance, it actually is not a bad event for free to play.
Yeah.
And even for a light spender, it's actually very rewarding. You just can't see it at first glance. By looking at this event, the end game is not at all apparent. It's a very sloppy implementation, and the math is wildly complicated.
Yeah.
But that's why you and I spent almost an hour kind of just tracing it through and looking at all the math. And actually what it ended up being is a pretty rewarding event, even for free to play.
Yeah, it speaks to itself that you and I we're sitting there like the dev chat and in each other's DMs figuring it out. And I've got a graphic here we're going to put on the screen talking about the events, but it really does because if you look at the event store, you and I mentioned this right before we went live. Officers, I think, is going to be our focus. I mean, you do have the option of going for the refits, but because those are chance and literally one at a time, I would strongly encourage people to ignore that, even if you're close to your salvage refit. And the Officer Shards is actually really nice. You look at it, it's 10 shards with a 50-50 split there. So that's pretty good if you can get multiple pulls.
I agree, and one other thing to note: another reason that I'm going to discourage use in the skins bundle is because we have already verified that it will not eliminate a skin if you've already acquired it. So
Yeah.
you do have the opportunity at redundant shards there.
Ooh, yay, that's value. So let's talk about the numbers we can actually get here because the event store, again, it looks good. 10 shards, if you can get a significant amount. So if you got one pull here, maybe it's not terribly exciting, but good news though, over the 3 days, you're going to get, if you complete everything, at least 6. But let's talk about how we can get to that number.
Absolutely. So the first event that we're going to look at is just the overall meta. It is a 72-hour event, and to complete 1 day's worth of events, or one Valentine's event rather, for the free to play, you get 1 pull at milestone 1, a second pull at milestone 2, then the third milestone provides a cosmetic. So there's 2 of them right there.
Yeah. And that's going to, for all you Avatar fans, it is an animated, or I'm sorry, frame fans. It's an animated frame. So I've been asking for a lot of those. That's 2 of them. So now we've got more. Now there's going to be a question set that this wasn't listed in the Valentine's trivia on our in-game news, but there is a question set every day. Each question set will give you a half pull, which sounds kind of silly, but if you're doing it every day, that then equates to another pull.
Exactly. So what's going to happen is each day there's going to be 4 pairs of events that launch. One of them is kind of like what I'm going to call a sub meta or a mini meta there. And that will have an entry of 10 of those red tokens. That will also, you'll get a chest each day. It's already in your gift section now where you'll get 10 of those each day. So that is basically, call it a ticket, Rev, because you're going to get one of those 4 events free to play every single day. Completing that event will provide enough of those tokens mathematically for 1.5 pulls. That's 1.5 each day. That said, if you complete the free event each of the 3 days, you're going to have 4.5 there. And then the 2 from the meta, so that would equal 6.5. You're gonna have some leftover, but that is 6 pulls of 10 shards each. That's 60 shards completely free to play.
Which is, again, this is a very complicated way to get that out there, but that's really good numbers for very little work. I mean, most of these trivias, for those curious, it's 4 answers. Most of them, most Trex fans will answer. We've already actually got them in both our Discords if you're looking for the answers on. And I'll put some in the comment section to make it easy for everybody. But also in terms of the officers that are available, you got 5, 4, 6, 3, which are really big of the board. But Picard, who has extremely limited sourcing throughout. I mean, very good officers to get through here. And then there's also that bonus officer XP, which if you're really lucky, you'll get like 144,000. So 60 shards total. If you go through the next 3 days, complete all your trivia and do all the little meta buckets that you see here on the screen with the graphic, and then that's going to give you the shards. And then there are the options, of course, because it wouldn't be Star Trek Fleet Command without it. There are a couple of packs. I did want to quickly point out the $20 one would give you 90 more of those Horgon totems, which would let you complete all of the trivia events, would then result into what, DJ? Another 60 officer shards?
Yeah, essentially what you're looking at there is technically another 4 per event with an extra left over if you do them all. So by getting the extra 90 tokens, you're going to be able to complete all 4 events per day. Each event itself awards 1.5 pulls. So if you do 4 of those a day, it's essentially 6 pulls a day that you're going to get. So you do 6 a day for days 1, 2, and 3. That's 18 plus the 2 from the meta. That's actually 20 total pulls, Rev, for $20. And those 20 pulls are going to yield 200 officer shards. So I like, when I'm looking at all the packs, you're basically boiling it down to 60 shards free to play, or $20 will actually provide 200 of those shards. And I find the best value there. There is a $100 pack that still provides the same 90 tokens, but also provides an extra 35 shards within the pack contents itself. So I kind of look at it like this, free to play gets 60, $20 will get 200, but $100 gets 235. I kind of find the value per shard there definitely lying with the $20 pack.
Yeah, I think if we're going price per shard in terms of officers, $20 has the best value. They threw the frame in there on the $100 ones, and I think Ripper's probably going to bite on that, but I'm not sure how many others will based on the heart frame, but it does glow, which is kind of neat, I guess. But anyway, I just thought they were worth mentioning because we always talk about officer sourcing being an issue there, and with this being a kind of complicated event meta, there's the path, and if you did want to spend a little bit extra, you're going to significantly increase the number of officer shards you're getting. Now, you're still reliant on Scopely RNG when it comes to what officers you get, and we can't help that. But in terms of, did this actually get constructed in a way that's good for the average player? It really did. It's very complicated to look at, but if you go through the process, it pays out very well.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, 60 shards after 72 hours of simple trivia events, that is a better than average payout when it comes to officer shards. Plus, I like to take a look at the bundle itself. And, we kind of mentioned before we started taping, the dilution is actually pretty slim. Yeah. And there are some high value officers in there. You mentioned Picard. I'm obviously still chasing 5 of 11. 2 of 11 is a great officer to be working on as a mining officer. So there is really low dilution. And most of those officers, not all, but most of those officers, most people don't have maxed yet. So there's a good selection there with low dilution and a good number of officers. Even completely free to play, 60 shards is better than average for a 3-day event.
I mean, I'd honestly argue that of the officers that are in there, there's only 2 that are completely pointless. Worf and Tasha Yar, like a rare Worf. Everybody else has some form of use depending on where the player's at. I mean, for example, 7 of 11, we're going through this whole Vidar loop right now. Well, if you're still, a player in the 20s or even low 30s, and maybe you haven't unlocked some of the higher metas, well, 7 of 11 was the meta when you were fighting against like the 29 probes. So, I mean, in general, there's a lot there that is valuable. And thankfully, if you've worked on it or you've gotten it as of today, you and I are recording this, the Talios is going to help you get the independent credits needed for all these Borg officers that you're pulling today. So,
absolutely. Now, there are 2 other packs that we can simply just draw attention to. They don't have the event tokens, but they do offer event currency itself. These are very, very weird to me. Obviously, I guess if somebody found some value there, but because of the number, like if you look at the $50 pack, it's going to award another 6.5 pulls. Well, that's going to kind of round down. Now, if you did the free to play path through the events, there's 6.5. So you could spend 50 and get another 6.5. Which is only 13 pulls, 130 shards. On the other hand, I could spend the $20 and get 20 pulls. So the $50 pack looks really, really weird to me. I don't know why it's there. On the other hand, if you did spend the $20 pack to get all 200 of those pulls, there is another $100 pack that does give another 13 pulls. So you can still, Rev, kind of whale out on this event. You could spend hundreds of dollars on this event, but you're also talking multiple hundreds of Officer Shards if indeed you found those to be worth it. But those are completely optional. They don't have anything to do with the events. It's just literally buying more of these low dilution Officer Shards and should be looked at as such. If I were recommending to any light spend player, obviously free to play, you got 60. And if you want to stay that route, absolutely, there's 60. If you're a light spend player and you do like to focus on officer acquisition, I think the $20 pack, out of all of these packs, the $20 pack carries the most weight for me.
Which, hey, I guess this is an opportunity to say thank you, Scopely. You made a $20 pack that's valuable. So we appreciate it. It's confusing because, as you said, the $20 one, like shard value, is better than the 50. But if people want to spend, there's your options. And there's the breakdown of it. And DJ, thanks for hopping on and working with me this morning to figure out this very odd bucket, but not a bad bucket.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Rev.
Yep. Everybody out there, y'all are amazing. Live longer, prosper. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, I'll catch you in the next one, and we're out.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.